Happy birthday, Marines. 250 years. And thank you. I don't even know where to start. Marines and the Marine Corps in general have given so much to me. I've never worn the uniform, but I've worked with and for Marines for 40 years. It all started when I was a new flight test engineer. My first boss was a Marine colonel, and he kind of set the tone for everything. The first person that ever took me up in an aircraft where I did acrobatics was a Marine captain. The first person who really taught me how to fly a helicopter was a test pilot school buddy of mine. And from there, it just snowballed into a whole bunch of different things. I worked for the V-22 program for 4 years. I was the propulsion and power test lead. That was fantastic. Did all sorts of things that I'll talk about in later videos. And then 9/11 happened. I wanted to contribute in any way I could. I was too old to enlist or even to become an officer. So I tried to do the next best thing, which was become a science advisor for the Marine Corps. MAR 4, Lance in the case that ended up turning into MAR 4. The experience with MAR 4 was absolutely incredible. Working on a 3-star general staff, everybody in the command, chief of staff, all the colonels were fantastic. It was an incredible environment to learn about leadership. I've never had an experience like that before. There would be command runs, and they would give you shirts to run in. It was funny because it was mandatory for all the Marines to run on the command runs. It was optional for civilians. Being a science advisor, I didn't want to be just a civilian that just sat back. I wanted to experience it every way, shape, or form I could. In fact, 2 weeks into my science advisor tour, we had changed the command. Lieutenant General Burnt had took over, and he and I had a meeting. And I was there with the colonel, who's the chief of staff. He looked at me and he said, "How long you been here, Mike?" And I said, 2 weeks, sir. And he looked at me in a way only a 3-star general can look at you, and said, "If you don't have a bunch of things out to my Marines in a year, you and I are going to have issues." And I said, "Yes, sir." And when he left, the chief of staff came and started smiling at me, and he said, "Well, I guess you got your work cut out for you, Mike, don't you?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And so staying in the office was really not what they wanted. They wanted me to go out and experience the Marine Corps as best as I could in a way that really very few people that don't wear the uniform get to experience. I went out to all sorts of exercises at Camp Lejeune, and Camp Pendleton. I eventually got a science advisor out at 3MEF, which is Okinawa. So I had spent some time out there later in my career when I was running the science advisor program. And everything about the Marines was just, it was like leadership and learning and esprit de corps and camaraderie, unlike I've ever seen anywhere else. And it really shaped me into the person I ended up becoming throughout my career. We would go on these command fun runs, and they would give us shirts. And so, you know, this was one shirt I got. Here's another one. This is my favorite shirt. It says, well, I'll just let you read it. It basically says, "Pain is temporary. Pride is forever." This is a special shirt. I don't wear it all the time because I just like it so much. And then one time it was just so darn cold, they gave us sweatshirts to run in. In fact, they were pretty happy that the civilians would participate, and I just wanted to take it all in. When my sons were born, they gave us teddy bears, and it had dog tags that had my son's name on it, when he was born, and then how much he weighed and how long he was. That's just the kind of caring organization they are. I'm filming this on the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps, and tonight there'll be all sorts of birthday balls. There'll be cakes. You know, every time I go to a Marine Corps cake presentation, and I try to go every year, but certainly the ball You know, my wife and I got dressed up to the nines. I had a tuxedo on. She had a great dress on. And we went to the Marine Corps Ball. I've been to a bunch of amazing events, but a Marine Corps Ball, I just wish everybody could have the opportunity to experience it. Have a pageant where they show all the Marine uniforms through history. It's just an amazing, amazing time. And it really does celebrate the dedication that these men and women have to the service. Right here is probably one of the best awards I ever got. It's a K-bar in a shadow box. I have this theory, there's no way to prove it. Marines are always ready to go anytime, anywhere. And I think Marines maybe give these K-bars to each other so that they are ready to go in case something happens wherever they might be. That's a real K-bar, the razor sharp, the whole 9 yards. And this is the best coin I've ever gotten. This was given to me in my out call with General Burt, that same General Burt that 2 years previously had given me something to think about. And I worked and strived as best as I could to meet his expectations. We had gone out to the field a couple times and I had shown him some of the technologies that I had worked up and got integrated into the commands. And he turned to me and he said, you know, 2 years ago I gave you a pretty big challenge. And I go, yes, sir. And he said, you met that challenge. And he gave me this coin, shook my hand, and I just was speechless. I said, thank you, sir. It was an honor. Shortly after the change of command for General Burt, he unfortunately passed away. But he was a leader unlike any I have ever personally worked for. His integrity was phenomenal. And as a MU commander, he was the guy that went in and got the F-117 pilot that had gone down. And not only did he command the MU that did that and made it happen, but he went out on the mission himself. That's how dedicated he was. Thank you, Marines. You changed my life in so many different ways, so many amazing ways. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to repay you. But happy birthday, and may you have many more.